that people begin to behave in a different way because they begin to think of things in a different perspective or from a different angle.
Well, my question in asking for a comparison of academic freedom vis-a-vis black professors or white professor referred specifically to a case of a white professor from South Africa named Rubin, who has been dismissed, qualifiedly dismissed, or whatever it is, from the university. And basically because the students did not believe he had the right to say what he wanted to say at the university, which parallels, if I'm following you correctly, the fact that you are alleging that you have been fired, in fact, because you had the temerity to say, theoretically, what you said.
Well, let me just go, I look at that particular case, there's the case of Dr. Rubin, who the students had charged that he was negligent in his duties towards the student body. Now, all these charges have been washed away, but this was essentially, as I understand it, what happened. They alleged that he had done a couple of things that some people had said were racist, and also that he had been negligent in his responsibilities. Well, when that happened, all of the newspapers that are white-owned and supported went to his defense. How dare Howard University remove this individual who was an anti-apartheid, meaning anti-white supremacy, anti-racist, took an anti-racist position in South Africa, that this man has, in quotes, demonstrated his interest in black people and non-white people. Now, I just look at that case in this way. Here is an individual that, as far as the media in the District of Columbia is concerned, they defended this man because he had taken an anti-racist, anti-apartheid position in South Africa. But there's Francis Welsing, who has written a paper and a theory on white supremacy, has to be dismissed from the same institution, because I consider myself a counter-racist, a person who is moving against an unjust and negative force of white supremacy. But I have to be dismissed because I wrote a theory that was against white supremacy. But an individual who is classified as white, who took a position so-called an anti-white supremacy position in South Africa, he is defended as being someone who should be at a black institution, defended at least by the media. You see what I'm saying? Because one of the papers in Washington, the Evening Star, in an editorial said, well, apparently Howard University has a small group of racists, meaning black people who are supposed to be against white people, you know, faculty and students who are anti-white, and now it's time to weed out all of the other black people who have an anti-white position. Now, this is said in a city in which there are two major white universities who have very, very small black student bodies and very, very small percentages of blacks on their faculty. But there's no examination or no gross criticism of the white dominance and presence at the two white institutions, but let's weed out if there are other black people who in any way can be looked at as being against whites, well, then attack that black center. And it's a lot of chaos and confusion, but I think that if it is understood the dominant dynamic in this area of the world, the dominant dynamic that is going on throughout the world is white domination. I don't think that anyone can refute that. The persons who have the power in the world today, all of it is in the hands of people who themselves classify themselves as white as opposed to non-white. That is where the power is. If we understand that, we can understand everything else.
We have time for one short question and one short response.
Oh, I see. Well, this was going to be longer, but anyhow, you said that the operating dynamic is racism, in essence.
White supremacy.
White supremacy. Yes. Do you make any allowances for economic domination or any class differences?
Okay, very, very quickly. The system of white supremacy is a dynamic that encompasses all areas of people activity. That means economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. You have a behavioral system that is in all of those areas of activity seeking to establish white supremacy. I say that the class positions in that society are white upper class, white middle class, white lower class, and then non-white, non-class, irrespective of income. Income is not power.
Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and she had a number of papers. Now, she has a book called The ISIS Papers, Keys to the Colors, and I have that book. I first read it years ago, and occasionally I visit it again to help remind me of what the situation really is. And if you guys have not read it, you definitely should read it. If you care to get a physical copy of the book, be careful because some prices are very high, but you can get it for less than $20. Now, you can get a PDF copy of the book. You can also pause and read the contents here. You can read I have the preface here. I think the preface tells you a lot about what's in this book. And these papers were indeed very important. And this is the truth at the end of the day. So, out of the rest of the things that the guys had to say in this video that really didn't have anything to do with race specific to black people, getting rid of critical race theory, yeah, that's an issue. Now, it's clear that the people who are behind Project 2025 are wanting to continue to erase the truth about our history. And as the years go by, I've noticed that each generation becomes a little bit more comfortable with that. Like, doesn't really bother them either way. Or they feel like, I don't get it. What's the big deal? Just let them do it. Well, that is largely, in my opinion, due to a failure on our parts to continue to teach the truths and the history to our children and being placated and allowing them to just go ahead and continue to erase things. Now, when they continue to erase the truths, then it leaves you in a mind state of it's not that bad, or we have the same opportunities. You know, a lot of people who are considered our people tend to talk like that. They talk like that a lot. And unfortunately, no matter how strong they want to be in that stance and how loud they want to be, they are wrong. Now, let me show you an example of exactly what I'm talking about.
In America don't have wealth like others because they choose not to generate wealth through investments and passing their money down.
Who's teaching us to do this?
We should teach each other to do it. Why does somebody got to teach? You want the white man to teach us? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, hell, teach us something.
Okay, no, you could teach something. You got a college, you can get a college education. When you have children, teach your children.
Black people in America don't have wealth because they don't teach each other how to build wealth. A lot of so-called black people really believe this. They believe that it's just that cut and dry. Now, how is this possible? Well, a lot of shucking and jiving, of course, but uneducation. They think they're so educated, but it's what they choose to educate themselves on. They don't educate themselves on real research and the real history of our people. They follow along the same type of rhetoric and thinking and teachings as the ones who oppress us.
I want you to tell me exactly the point in history where America was great.
You know,
As
it's
a
funny.
black man.
Point to me a time in history where America wasn't great. Tell me where
The
it
birth
starts.
of America?
No, point in America where America was.
Now, this is a guy who calls himself Officer Tatum, and I really don't need to go any further than this, because how can you say something like that? Does he not know the history of his people? How America was founded? How America was actually built? Come on now.
Point in America where America wasn't great.
On murder and thievery and deception. What do you mean?
Now let me explain this to you real quick. This is for everybody to listen to. Everybody always have this perception that we shouldn't acknowledge America as being great. America started at a certain point and grew and came better over time. No country that you know of was 100% perfect at the foundation.
No country was 100% perfect. So he calls that just not being perfect. Okay, everything that they have done to conquer this land, everything that they have done to not just our people, but other people as well. But focusing in on our people, so you're going to excuse what they did to our people as, oh, that's just where they started at. You know, now we here. Here where? This is ridiculous.
No country.
You
no
didn't answer
country
my
in the
question.
world. No countries in Africa, no countries in Europe. You can name it. Everybody started at a certain point, and it became greater
You
over
didn't
time.
answer my question.
Ever since you've been alive, America has been the greatest it's ever been.
You think so?
Okay, this is a guy who acts like he's a Mr. Know-it-all, a guy who's so smart. Yet we are in one of the worst recessions. Like, this country has never, it's hard for me to even say that, but this is a very horrible time for us, period. Everybody, anybody. How can this person fix his mouth to say something like that? This is what happens when we are not fully educated on our history. Now, the young brother clearly knows his.
Where else is better than America? And why don't you live there?
I'm not sure.
I know you're not sure because they don't exist. Show me somewhere else that's as diverse as America. Anywhere.
Diverse?
That's as diverse.
What does diversity mean if people are
Opportunities
being
for
discriminated
all
against?
people. Show me another country that give opportunities for all people like America.
Do you think
does.
we have the same opportunity as everybody else, as black people?
Yeah, 100%.
With 200.
Yeah, you guys can go and finish watching the rest of that if you want to, but this guy is absolutely incorrect. He just continues to try and beat these points into the ground. We have never been, nor will we ever have the same opportunities as others. The deficit that they have put us in does not afford us that possibility. It is not possible. There is no way we can pick up or catch up. First of all, they still have all the systems in place that they desire to keep us down. And the ones that they have implemented in the past have done irreparable damage. And it is ongoing, long-lasting, generation existence, pure existence, long-lasting. Do you understand what that means? It could never fully be unturned, even if we were actually trying to, which we're not. There's still people who somehow believe that, I can get there. I can take this. This'll do. And they pretend as if though they are not becoming extinct as a people, as if they will actually pass with wealth, generational wealth, and an empire's legacy. Like, they're really going to do something to change the trajectory of their people, or at least their bloodline. And that absolutely 1000% never happens. The mere perception of it is a joke. You merely allow yourselves to be used while they sit back and just wait until they so desire to take everything away from you while damaging your reputation. And that also includes deleting you. It happens to everyone. Yet, somehow, you still have people like this who tend to try and convince themselves and want to force it on others. The thought that this could even be possible. Well, we have all of these things in place. And one of them is surely getting rid of critical race theory, which, if you're a researcher, as you are, you should be, is only going to lead you back to original, hardcore, not undisputable research that tells you exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. Period. Now, if you guys have not gotten her book, you should check it out. You can go on YouTube and they have chapters that they have read. They read the entire book on there. You can get the PDF. You can watch her in different debates and lectures. She's been all over. And I think it's pretty sad that those who speak on critical race theory have not, as far as I can tell, accredited all of what they're talking about to some of the original founders, which is Dr. Francis Chris Welsing. That book is golden. And that's something you cannot get rid of because it is the facts. But if you erase it from people learning it, and you guys choose not to want to learn it, and you want to be an illusion that something good is happening to our people or can happen to our people, instead of realizing that we are literally at the very, very bottom of human existence, that's sad. And that leads me back to Tyrone C. Howard, PhD. Now, this guy is a professor of education at UCLA. So, one would probably say as a professor, he should know better. He should know the truth. Why would he steer these brothers who he knows doesn't want to read Project 2025, doesn't want to research who's behind it, doesn't want to research the power that they have, don't want to research how they are implementing what they are implementing, as I have pointed out and highlighted for you guys in this video, which does indeed tell you that this is a group of people who have the means, the resources, the plans that they are carrying out, and they're no novice to this. And that's going to take place whether or not Kamala is in office, whether or not Obama is back in office, whether or not Trump is back in office, or whether or not, hell, Sleepy Joe stays up there. It doesn't matter. Even if I become president, it does not matter. They are going to implement what they want to, because long ago, when they took over people in their cultures, in their lands, and stripped them of their power and put themselves in power, then they put themselves in the very position that they are in today. And we are in the very position that we are in today. And just like Dr. Frances Cress Welsing has told you guys that she has been removed from her position at Howard because they did not want her pushing, practicing, teaching, publishing any of this information. How do you think Tyrone C. Howard, PhD, is a professor of education in UCLA when he is dictating to these brothers that Project 2025 is Trump's doing, and that B, this is all just about black people? Well, this is deeper than black people. Black people, you are where they want you. They put in a lot of hard work to get you there, and it really doesn't take much to keep you there. They just continue to put in place things that elevates them and keep you right where they want you to be. And you help them and you contribute a lot. And one of the ways that you definitely help them is by not doing research, not willing to read, not willing to take advantage of the scholars that we had in the past that did a lot of work and put forth a lot of sacrifices to bring forth the information, the blueprints, the layouts that are very vital to your existence. Now, these people have told you themselves that they are not necessarily affiliated with one particular party. And I've pointed out to you how that is so and how they are affiliated. They basically are the parties, regardless of which one it is. They are everywhere. Okay? They are everywhere. So Kamala or Trump, they will proceed with Project 2025. Who's going to stop them? But they will allow the rhetoric that this is Trump. Hate him. He's doing this. And you know, the man told you out his own mouth that he is not responsible for this project. And yet you still say what you say. And you know what makes me respect you guys less when you do that is because you're only repeating something that you've heard other people say, so you believe it. You've done zero research. And here's proof. This is a video with a professor and a bunch of black men who we can see and hear were brought excerpts from the project to read and given an idea that this is where it came from and this is what it's about. And they're running with that. They are keeping this victim mentality. Have we been victims? Heck yes. Are we? Will we always be? Yes. But you cannot do anything about that. That is what they have done. What you can do is figure out how it goes and what you can do about it. Now, when it comes down to these elections, guys, this whole idea of wanting someone to care about your people, to me, is an emotional base lunacy, because you can't expect someone to care about your people. No one ever has, including yourself, but you've been taught to be that way. Okay. A lot of us want to, but it is very difficult to do so. And a lot of us don't even know how or where to start. Okay. Now, in my opinion, coming from somebody who actually does read extensively and do a lot of research, this presidency is really none of your business. However, to a degree, it is. And this is the best person that is available for the job. Even if you were to put another candidate, in my opinion, I don't see, have yet to meet or hear of another person who is currently more qualified to be in this position than Donald Trump. Now, in my opinion, help place him there and let that be. You guys fall into the trap of focusing too much on who your presidents are. Your business is out here in these streets. Your business is in your local communities. Your business is in who your local politicians are and what they got going on. Now I know a lot of you guys are familiar with the situation over in Chicago with Tiffany Henyard. Illinois, I guess, with Tiffany Henyard, and you see how the citizens are getting up in her. Now, these citizens pretty much are and have been involved in what's been going on from the jump. So, they got a lot of leverage and a lot of leeway, and you see how they are coming together when they're seeing that something is wrong. It is hard, next to impossible, to get people involved in their local politics. You're supposed to know exactly whose job is to do what they are doing, what policies they press, and what you want them to do, what they vote for, what they vote against. How are they representing you? What fundings do they get? How do they use them? Now, I beg of you, to enroll yourself in an American government course, okay? OpenStax has free literary for all. You can go online, you can download the PDF, or you can just go through course. You can go to YouTube. It is read to you. American government, okay? And you need to go back to the foundation. And if you have had this education in the past, it is a refresher course that is needed. I think everyone should go through this course. Look at here, 18 videos. You listen to other stuff. This is important. You guys are doing too much focusing on who is or isn't president. And I understand how you can believe one over the other is going to be more beneficial or detrimental. But what I am seeing lately is a lot of people voting out of emotions. You're voting because the other party, you don't like that party. And you know good and well the other party isn't qualified. They don't have your best interest at heart. And do a business course. OpenStax again, so that you can understand the business of America, pair these two together and understand the business of America. And then you will be able to understand that this is your best bet for president. And then step aside, let that alone. Don't even worry about it. Let that happen, because at the end of the day, regardless of who's in office, I gave you an example, a clear example of what type of people actually are running the show. Project 2025, pretty much out of your control. Are you able to build something that can overpower all that they have implemented? Absolutely not. Can you try and vote against it? I don't know. I have not researched where it's at or whatever, but just off of what I read and what I understand, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Now, one thing I am definitely against, and so far from what I've seen, and I believe we should be fighting against, is them erasing history. That is detrimental to our people. It may not be important to anyone else, but it is definitely detrimental to our people, because as long as you have our people who are saying, yeah, you got just as much as opportunity as other people, and they view you that way, they will be your enemy and their own enemy, and they will be the downfall of our people. And that also includes others who see it that way. There is a wealth of information available online about how to get involved in your local politics. And if you take the American government course, you can understand who your local politicians are supposed to be, what they are responsible for, and how you are supposed to have the power over them. You can also understand how this country was formatted, because that is the blueprint as to how we should be behaving. And it does not involve voting separately. It does not involve arguing with each other over who to vote for, but never coming to conclusions that best matter for yourself. And it is just impossible to really talk to you guys and have you understand where I'm coming from unless you are equipped with this basic information. You guys need to be coming together in your local communities. It is almost impossible to get people to do that. It is almost impossible to get people to do that where I live. So I can only imagine how others have a hard time. Now, guys, if you want to have some power, you want to make some changes that eventually go up to the White House and go up to the presidency, and you want to make real changes in your communities, you are going to have to start to learn the basics of how this country is ran and operated. And you are going to have to put the work in, and you're gonna have to learn how to work together for the best interests of everybody. Your power does not start at the presidency. Your power starts in your community, and it starts with your local politicians. Now, you need to get to work. Period. Now, let's be clear, I have not read Project 2025 yet, but I do plan to read it, and then I will come back. But in the meantime, just doing basic research after listening to this video, I find it quite disturbing that someone or some people are promoting this to Black men as if it is A, designed by Trump, and B, to eliminate Black men. Well, the Department of Education, why would they want to get rid of it? That's something you need to find out, right? Okay. Why do you want to keep it? It has not benefited Black children specifically before, so keeping it is going to do what?